Like love. Love is worth saving.
I don't know love.
Now encompasses everything. Does it not?
It's all there is.
It's all there is.
You choose survival, social, wisdom, or heart.
Survival is a nice bottom line. That which promotes survival is good. There's a problem in there too, though, because survival of what? Maybe the survival of human beings is to bind us with machines. Well, is that us? Well, what is us?
What in the hell, Parlato? Why are you putting that in the hive mind chat? What is the matter with you? Do you need special attention? Do you need special attention? Come on, man. Come on. Come on. Come on. And now we have to start over because StreamYard doesn't let me jump to the middle of these.
Like love. Love is worth saving.
I don't know love.
Now encompasses everything. Does it not?
It's all there is.
It's all there is.
You choose survival, social, wisdom, or heart.
Survival is a nice bottom line. That which promotes survival is good. There's a problem in there too, though, because survival of what? Maybe the survival of human beings is to bind us with machines. Well, is that us? Well, what is us? What is a human being? We're going to get to that in a minute. Remember, survival is supposedly the bottom line. But survival exactly of what? And see, I would argue the Greeks said, well, eternal life is the story going forward.
All right then. Welcome, everybody. This is Ascension, Apologetics, Dark Matter, Flatland, Grim Grizz stream. I'm General Griswold Gaius Grim of the First LARP Ingression Protocol, often confused for a starving artist, but actually the General of a Shaper Ingression. What do you know? What do you know? Here you go for the card for the show. Is the three of clubs. Back in the clubs club in the casino deck. Now we're going to do the savings throws against the mind control. And you know how that goes, but we'll go right back over it right after this brief hello.
Remember, everybody, there is no agency. We want what's best for you.
Turns out language is magic words and you're under constant spells, even if you only count the advertisements you're exposed to throughout the course of your day. That mind control, we give you a savings throw against and an opportunity to take only half damage. You do that by choosing survival, social, wisdom, or heart. And if the number on the die plus your bonuses is over 10, you take half damages from the mind control for the rest of the show and the rest of your day. If it's under 10, you take full damage, but at least you know you're taking mind control damage instead of blissfully absorbing it without knowing. Survival, social, wisdom, or heart. Choose. Not yet? No. All right. All right. Ooh, look at that. Survival is coming with an 18 today. 18 for you. Socialist. That's a 16 for you. You're doing fine. Lovers of wisdom. Bring your bonuses. That's a 5. Heart folks. Only one for each chamber. You're going to have your bonuses too. That's a 4. Indigo kids. Just the Trinity for you. Just the Trinity for the Indigo kids. You're going to need your bonuses. LARP! We have the ability to LARP and LARP hard. LARP! We have the ability to LARP and LARP hard. That was a McMo one, I think. I believe that was a McMo masterpiece. I think that was his stylistic impression, signature thereof. Okay. Now, if I'm not mistaken, members of the channel can bestow 7+ emojis on people to get them over the bonus hump if they're having a special I need some resistance to the mind-controlled day. We have a special starred comment, which is a comment from the hive mind that is of as much value as the super chats, which also appear in this section should they ever come in. It's from Jeremy Firth, who says, This is Holy Week for the Roman Catholics, and they consider it a part of Great Lent. This is week 2 of 6 Great Lent for the Ortho Bros, plus an extra for Holy Week. And I guess they're all on. They've all decided to have it. What do you call it? To give up donating to Grimgriz for Lent. Maybe that's what's happened. I don't. Where is there it is.
Now what'll that asshole think of next? Is anybody got a dime?
Remember, there is no agency. We want what's best.
And then perhaps it's cranky from not playing the video games, but once again, this stream, the Ascension Apologetics stream, Dark Matter Flatland, is a triggered stream, triggered by today's homeroom release of this fella here. What's his name? Dempsey something. Grilling our good friend Pastor Paul on the reality of the Ascension. And we'll be going into all of the nonsense that has triggered over the course of the show. Welcome. We hope you're feeling virtually not alone. If not, Denny is in the hive mind waiting to interact with you. Ribbit.
So say we all. Yuck, yuck, yuck. Ho, ho, ho.
Special thanks to the Shadow Cabal. So say we all.
Now, let's see. He begins all nice and friendly, so let's put that in there.
Paul Vanderclay. Many will know Paul from the work that he's doing in this little corner of the internet scene, prominent voice in that community, but is also a pastor at Livingstone's Christian Reformed Church in Sacramento, California. And yeah, this has been a conversation that I've wanted to have for a little bit. I think, gosh, going back to like October of last year, we've kind of been trying to nail down a time to have some conversation. Obviously, swimming in similar scenes, overlapping networks, that sort of a thing. And this is really, I think a really great time to be
Swimming in similar seams, or does he represent the flotilla, a nearby flotilla, floating in the same information waters as our one and only beloved?
finally getting to talk based on a lot of stuff that's been happening in those networks around conversions to Christianity in this sort of broader conversation. So I'll set that up a little bit more in a second. But thank you so much, Paul, for joining me. I appreciate it.
Great to be here.
Yeah. Setting context here. A lot of stuff is happening, and you're a great person to talk to about all this. And I mean, we've been seeing lately this kind of trend of some rather prominent folks in this scene, and in I guess you could even say kind of culture, making this sort of God pivot, as it's been called. And I recently had Jordan Hall on my podcast.
God pivot. Yum. What? Come on, Jordan Hall. Anyway, speaking of Jordan Hall, we are less than an hour away from this here, where Chad and McMo do something with that Jordan Hall fella, like 40 minutes now. Stay tuned. We'll be popping over there to hive mind the bejesus out of the premiere, I'm sure. But first, more about this guy beating up on poor Pastor Paul. Let's see what was going on at the 33rd minute. That might have been one of the points on which I was triggered.
Doesn't seem to work. Now, of course, Jesus made suggestions about that a very long time ago. You can gain the whole world, but lose your soul. And it's like, well, what if we decide we don't have a soul and we just stick with the world? Well, the funny thing was that the soul began to crop up. And I think that's sort of where we're at now, where people begin to, and you can see this in someone like Tom Holland, who he has a hit book called Rubicon. He's a successful author. He's living in.
All right, the 33rd minute wasn't as special. Notice his beanie, though. Notice that guy's beanie. Let's try a random jump.
Physical correspondence, and that's the way modernity sort of sneaks in. But what else are we saying, and how are we using language? And in fact, that is when it comes to metamodernity, I think where a lot of our focus is, which is modernity. In modernity, we began using language in a different way, and we began making distinctions like we didn't make before. And part of the difficulty is that once we start making certain distinctions, we can't unmake them, but then we don't quite know what to do with language. For example, Owen Barfield, one of C.S. Lewis's good friends.
Oh, not the Barfield. All right, come on. All right. This somewhere in here he talks about the Ascension, and I'm triggered because, you see, the thing of it is Pastor Paul isn't as invested as I am. The arguments that this man is making, if I were to adopt his as my own, well, there's no reason for me not to go to Canada and get them made. And so I have more on the line, whereas Pastor Paul is just, well, he's probably on elect. What are you going to do? And so when he starts questioning the Ascension, I just have things to throw at the man. And I'll be doing that right after this delicious branding.
Oh, there's Joe.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Look at that. We're in business. Oh, I'm way over here. Oh, well.
Yeah, play like we're out in the crowd.
Something like that.
That ceiling fan psyop is wild. Is wild. Spoon. Why spoon is the question. Or with heretofore undeserved trust, where Tayo has said that at the 43rd minute, there's an excellent question. Let us see. Let us see.
Yes. Historically, as a person, came back to life. Asking, like, kind of directly, do you think that, like, Christ physically, historically, as a person, came back to life, and that is what the resurrection is speaking to?
I think that Thomas touched his wounds.
So like, yes, so that the physical body of,
because you see, here's the problem. We can say all of language is metaphorical. It just is. I mean, I just said it. We can't speak in any other way, and we always speak this way. And there's actually no way of getting around it, and no way of living in the world, because even if I say,
all right, that's not the Ascension. That's pre the Ascension, but it makes a similar point. See, when you get these rational materialists, you have to understand they're using what I call the mustard seed blanket to believe that demons don't exist, and as such, they're giving up a whole lot if they give you any openings whatsoever. But I like to point out to them dark matter. That's why part of this stream is called this dark matter flatland right here, because the dark matter and flatland combination will help one deal with the nature of the Ascension, I believe. And the first of this is that this dark matter, if you ask the Google machines how much of the universe is made of dark matter, it says, about 76%. And that's your 76%. We don't know what's going on, okay? As far as we know, they could be alternate realities that we are not tuning into based on the frequency of our hearts. We have no idea. It's a dark matter. It's very mysterious. And from that existence, all of that could be the body with which Thomas was touched. Maybe that material was what condensed it and made it. Maybe those are multiple realities we can tune into. We have no clue. Acknowledge. Step beyond your human hubris and acknowledge the great mystery that even your top scientist man-priests tell you is the thingy. The flatland portion of that is much like the human eye spectrum is only allowed to perceive between the colors of red and purple. We know as humans and have harnessed the fact that light exists beyond those spectrums. Similarly, we exist in a three-dimensional plane among what we at least prospect might be a 48-dimensional universe. And as such, the book Flatland, which demonstrates between what it's like to be a second-dimensional entity with somebody that has the power to turn the page and make miracles happen, what it's like when those two dimensions interact. And since it's one lower than us, it'll be easier for you to understand how things from dimensions beyond our third can step in and intervene in our fourth. And that is the dark matter flatland part. And I guess a little bit of the Ascension Apologetics. I got half more sections on the cards, though, so
the list? Yes, any of the first level ones.
I'm gonna get a soda. Anyone want one? Hey, Graham, I'm not in the room, right?
What room?
I want to cast magic missile.
The room where he's casting all these spells from.
He hasn't cast anything yet.
I am, though, if you'd listen. I'm casting magic missile.
Why are you casting magic missile? There's nothing to attack here.
I'm attacking the darkness.
okay, we made it. Now, the next thing on this card is food chain hubris, but before we get to food chain hubris, I want to steel man one of this Dempsey fella's points. And that's because it echoes a little bit of the piece of the Annie interview on Friedman I caught the other day, which I think is a great paraphrase of one of the things I've been, like, the best. I'll show you what was the best. Okay. There was a reference I was using that was the best reference for the thing I'm going to show you now that's better referenced in the Annie quote, which is right here. This is the quote.
In terms of, being made fun of and then taken seriously and a little of this and of that. My biggest takeaway from writing that book was a quote that I referenced in the beginning, which is the Thomas theorem. And it says, if men define situations as real, they are real in their consequences.
Yeah. And that's kind of the point Dempsey was trying to make about adopting religions. And here's the gonna ruin the copyright for the episode, what I used to use to make the same point.
Power is a curious thing, my lord. Are you fond of riddles?
Why? Am I about to hear one?
3 great men sit in a room, a king, a priest, and a rich man. Between them stands a common sellsword. Each great man bids the sellsword kill the other 2. Who lives, who dies?
Depends on the sellsword.
Does it? He has neither crown nor gold, nor favor with the gods.
He has a sword, the power of life and death.
But if it's swordsmen who rule, why do we pretend kings hold all the power? When Ned Stark lost his head, who was truly responsible? Joffrey, the executioner, or
And in other news, let me tell you about how the time I found out I got blocked on X by Jordan Peterson. I had finally figured out, he had gotten a lot of slack for every time somebody says, do you believe in God? He said, well, it depends on what you mean by God. I had finally figured out the code of what we mean by God to put into that. And I was going to share it with him on the X, but I could not. And it's as follows. What do we mean by God? We mean that the arena is infused with divine agency that one can have a relationship with. And whether or not that is a Christian or a Hindu or a Buddhist or whatever relationship, We think there's something out there, the divine, that the arena itself is infused with divine agency. May you say the kingdom of heaven is at hand, and that agency is a force that we can interact with and develop a relationship with. That's what we mean when we say, do we believe in that there is a God? That there's the potential for that relationship between the self and the arena, I think. All right, and from that you're supposed to get the food chain hubris. Okay, well, okay, food chain hubris. Food chain hubris. You see, as a rational materialist, you probably believe that humans have risen through the evolutionary sludge to become the wonderful beings that we are at the pinnacle of everything. This is a form of hubris, and I will demonstrate to you the nature of this hubris by referencing your own victories of science. You see, the myth goes that once upon a time, humans believed the world was flat, and that belief was shattered. And then they believed that the earth was the center of the universe. And then that belief, through scientific discovery, was shattered. Then they believed that the sun was the center of the universe. And that too was scientifically shattered. Similarly, you are experiencing the hubris of, we have risen above our apis ancestry to the power of evolution to become this wonderful, but that's not what happened. You see, humans have never been at the top of the food chain, and there's a strong case to be made that whatever did genetically engineer us, there's a case to be made that the apple has not fallen far from the tree. As you see, we too have gone on to put our genes into monkeys to make them be smarter, which is just us creating things in our image, is it not? And as such, we're probably a food source that is being farmed here on this galactic planet for purposes beyond our comprehension, perhaps by multidimensional beings such as those in the fourth and fifth that can shatter into our minds. Back that I remember why I have these tabs loaded. When you're trying to mentally visualize the Ascension, it helps me to go back to an influential figure in my time, this Papa Peterson, when he describes something. Listen carefully.
Really concentrating hard on that Mandela. And I was standing in my living room, and then I had this very strange experience. The sky opening up and God sort of peering forth through the clouds. And that's exactly what seemed to happen to me, is that I had this sense. It was like a vision, although I was still in my living room and knew it. But inside the theater of my imagination, I could feel the sky opening up. Now, the only way I can really think about it is that it was something like another dimension. And
now, in terms of visualizing the Ascension, it's like that, but instead of it being in their heads, it was in the physical reality itself in which it happened. But it was the interference of a multidimensional being, perhaps one beyond time itself.
Working
Now this here experience is one of my favorite videos I have on the channel called An Experience of God. And it turns out that the person who later sent me this that I met at the conference at the Symbolic World Summit, right? I met a guy, and later on the guy sent me this where when he puts my show into the AI translator, it says it's full of disjointed and nonsensical phrases with mentions of believers in a Muslim thing and confusion about ascending and praying over food. That was fun. It let me know that we're still beyond the AI's comprehension, which means we're on the edge of where we should be. That fella at the summit clued me in that Papa Peterson went deeper into that experience with Duncan Trussell, and that I could find it on the internet, and so I have. And here's a piece of this, as I still have another 20 minutes to fill before Chad's show starts.
Right. It's beyond argument. And so I was making this sculpture, and I spent like 4 months on it. I was thinking about it a lot, and I got it mostly assembled. And then I was in my living room in Montreal, and I was listening to Mozart's Fourth Symphony, the Jupiter Symphony, and I was really listening to it. And it's one of these complexly multi-level patterned pieces of auditory sculpture that I believe represents being, because what being is multiple levels of patterned transformation interacting simultaneously. And music is a representation of that, which is why I think we find it meaningful. Anyways, I was listening intently to this symphony, and at the same time I was concentrating on the sculpture that I had made, and all of a sudden, and everything I'm about to say is a metaphor because there's no way of encapsulating it properly in words, but it was as if the heavens opened up above me. I mean, I was still in my living room, but
yes,
the experience is best represented by one of those early Renaissance paintings where you see God or Christ up in the sky with an opening in the sky against the clouds and against the sun. So it was like that, even though I didn't really see that, but it felt like that. And there was some visuals that were associated with it. And I felt something descend upon me that had a personal nature, something like what you were describing as a higher consciousness that was actually a being of a sort. And it filled me from the inside out. And I had and it was enrapturing, let's say. And it was an incredible feeling. I mean, it was a divine feeling, I suppose, is the right way of thinking about it. It was certainly a religious experience. And it transformed me, and it turned me into something far more than I normally was. And maybe you could think about that as an intimation of what you could become if you worked on it for the rest of your life, which sometimes I think is what hallucinogens provide people with, is an image of who they could be if they shed all of their deadwood.
Right.
Anyways.
These are the experiences that we live in. The firmament in the sky and these lights up in the heavens representing principalities or angels, all of this stuff that Christians for about 200 years have tried to shove into the corner and to avoid. That's actually great, amazing things. And those are the kinds of things that we're helping people understand again. It's like, how can we re-engage with these types of images?
Yeah. Can you mention patterns.
Pattern. The pattern, a person has a pattern. I know what a face looks like. I recognize it. And then I can see the parts of the face, and those parts of the face also have parts. And then et cetera, et cetera. You can keep going all the way down to the quantum field or whatever. But that is what I mean by patterns. It's taking the perspective of experience first, rather than this kind of abstract, perspective.
And now, this program is brought to you by
Glass TV on here. Why would we need a TV? A darn TV. Why on earth would you put a TV in here? A darn TV. Why on earth would you put a TV in here? Why would we need a TV? A darn TV. A darn TV. A darn TV. Why on earth would you put a TV in here?
TV? Why on earth? Why on earth that darn TV? Why on earth would you put a TV in here?
All that being said, let it be known that there now exists, in reality, a Denimor's Denny hat. Yes, it's true. It's true. You too can get a Denimor's Denny hat and be a special member of the Shadow Cabal, being the Denimor's Denny members of the Shadow Cabal, available at the links below the show.
Special thanks to the Shadow Cabal. So say we all.
And as a last bit of Ascension Apologetics and Dark Matter Flatland, I have the Shroud of Turin, bro. Look into that. The way it got them put the dude's body on it could only have happened if like a nuclear blast, and it goes from having closed eyes to open eyes between the layers. It's fascinating. They've debunked it, but they that did the debunking was NASA. So come on, check it out. And also the Higgs field. Before he got the scientific approval for the Higgs field, he had to cut off the part about his theorem that said it's infinite. And the Higgs field, as we all know, is the field that gives matter mass. That gives matter mass, which is the definition of material meaning, and that field is infinite and made of love. So there you go. There's some Dark Matter Flatland Ascension Apologetics. And now, Spoon Man has sent me a video which appears to be of him and people performing. And since we're still stalling until we get to the Fancy Pants Friday Morning Nameless Jordan Hall thing, here's some of that now. There appears to be a man with a fiddle stick and a guitar. This has got to be interesting. He appears to be the drummer, Chad. Isn't that him on the drums there? No, I didn't pre-screen any of this at all, but he seems to be picking up a banjo now.
It's alright, I'll be fine. Fall apart by mistake. Feels alright, I can fight. Along the sea, my addiction to be right.
You hear that? You heard it here first. The official review, Isaac. It's quite pleasant.
Sound of God awake to firelight our bedside, and you were carried away in mid-flight. Call my mind.
All right, I don't know this guy. Somebody tell me, Isaac, when you jam out. Where's that timestamp? Meanwhile, here you go, folks. I have a bonus card for the show. Let's see if McMo does make Jordan Hall uncomfortable over on Chat's Hoop-de-Doo premiere. No. Nobody can ever try Sleep Token. You've ruined it for everyone, Chad. You've ruined it for us all. Anyway, I have run out of my ability to stall, so let's just all go chat in Chad's hive mind after this shanty and train exit.
We all know that there is no agency any living gent can see doing what is right for me. Is lifting up my bro so he can grow some eyes to see that doing what is right for me increases all our agency.